So we're going to start by sketching in 3 lines. That's all we need. We need a horizon and we need the 2 sides of a path the path is going to go through the woods. So I'm going to start halfway down on the left hand side of my page and just put a little mark, and then about 2/3, it doesn't have to be exact, about 2/3 of the way down on the other side of the page, okay? Now, excuse me, we're going to need two lumps. So I'll just sketch it out and you can see. So I've got a steeper side of a hill and then a softer side of the hill. And where the 2 curves meet, that's where my path is going to disappear. Now, as things get further away, they look smaller. So we're going to start at the same point for both lines of our path, but we're going to get wider as we come down. So I'm going to put a curve in, and then I'm going to put a second curve in that gets wider. So I now have my horizon and my path. I'm going to do the line, I'm going to go over the lines quite dark so that you can see them, but when you do it, keep them quite faint because you don't want the lines showing through. So I'm going to go over the lines quite dark, and then the video will pick up those lines. But remember, yours are going to be softer than mine. Okay, colour. Very watered down. My colour's quite intense here. I'm going to use a lot of water to make it as literally watery. That's what I want. I want a watery blue. And remember, with the other painting, the brush strokes go across the page. They don't have to be even, and it's quite nice if some bits are darker and some bits are lighter. Generally speaking, darker at the top, lighter at the bottom. And it looks quite good. If some white comes through as well, that's also fine. Good, that's that bit done. Now, we're going to block in some green, because otherwise we'll have to do an awful lot of painting. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to get a watery colour, a watery green. So tiny little bit of green. Oh, that's quite intense. That's probably way too much green, actually. And I'm going to mix it with lots and lots of water. Okay. So starting at the top, I'm going to just come down the right hand side. Again, it doesn't matter if it's not even. We come down the right hand side here, and then I'm going to paint in either side of my path. So I've now got a backdrop colour, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So here we have the horizon, the path, the sky. So what we want to do now is we want to put the trees in. So we're going to start in the background, and bizarrely enough, we're going to start with the colour purple. Purple and blues make an object look like they're in the distance, they're further away, especially if you do it really pale. In fact, so pale it's almost grey. All right, so we want a tiny amount of purple, so that it's almost, as I said, so it's almost grey. Okay, right, now I've got to be brave. I'm going to go straight onto my painting now. Start from the base and work your way up. Remember that the trees and the trunks and the branches get smaller the further away from the trunk they are. So, and the trees themselves will be smaller, so I'm going to put my trees only this big, because the ones at the front will be this big. The ones at the back are going to be much smaller. So with my very pale, very, very pale purple, I'm going to put the trunks in, and maybe 2 or 3 branches on each one. There we go, I think 3 is enough on that one. And then I'm going to put another one. Remember that they're not all straight lines, some of them are a little bit wiggly. They are, however, all bigger at the bottom than they are at the top. gets thinner. It's a long way away. All right. I'd fill that, apart from the very centre bit, we'd like to be able to see the sky in the very centre bit. So apart from that, I would just keep going with your purple trees. And I am going to do some on this side as well. Not too big, remember. Okay, I think that'll probably do for me. So pause the video now and do that bit in your own time and wait for it to dry, and we'll come back to the next stage. Right then, the next stage, we're going to start to put the bigger trees in now. It's up to you whether you want to be brave and go straight with the paint or whether you want to do some very faint pencil lines. But these next set of trees are going to be further into our painting, so further down the green. Alright, so starting here rather than on our horizon, starting a little bit lower down. So let's do the first couple with pencils. Let's give that a go. So we're going to have, I want one slightly leaning, I reckon. And don't worry about where the other one, the other trees are. It all blends in a wood. I'm going to have 3 on this side. And then one down here. So at the moment they look like little flames. But don't forget they need to be bigger than the ones in the back. Alright, so actually I haven't done those ones quite big enough. I'm going to take that up a little bit further. Now that's the main trunk. We'll obviously have branches coming off that. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to have one leaning up the hill. And one leaning out a little bit. Now we're not on the horizon, this one. It's a bit further down the hill. Okay, good. So now we need to start introducing some greens in. We don't want it a really vibrant green. We want it a grey green again because they're still in the background. They're not in the front of our painting. So, I'm going to take the same greens, the same browns, and just make them a little bit more intense. Okay, so remember it gets thinner as it goes up. Also, remember we need to start putting light and shade in. Now that I'm going to go for the light being on the right hand side, same as we did with the last one. Oh, that one didn't go very thin at the top, did it? Do that very well. And I want some thinner little branches, not too many. And the branches on the right hand side, I'm going to use the dark paint because this is the darker half of the painting. And then I think the branches on the other side, on the left hand side, I think I might do with a lighter colour. Remember that further out the twigs are, The thinner they are, so they're almost, your brush isn't touching. Lighter colour for the branches on this side. And I'm going to do the other two paintings, the other two trees rather. And just darkening off the shady side of these trees. Good. Okay, that's the next stage done. Then what we want to do is put some big trees in. So we want to go for some greens, more green now than brown, but don't make it too vibrant. We don't want it too bright a green. So if you've got a really bright green, then perhaps put a little bit of brown with it. Now again, you can be very brave. You can draw them in, or you can paint them in. So it's up to you. Up to you. So this time, I think what we'll do is we'll start with the lighter colour, like we did on the other paint. So I am going to draw mine in with a pencil. Now I'm going to take my trunk right up out of the picture now, like we did with the other tree. So I'm going to take mine. It's a bigger tree, so it's a more solid trunk. Don't be too heavy with your brush or your pencil. Okay, and I'm going to have another one here. I'm going to have it leaning out a little bit this way. Needs to be bigger than the ones behind it. Okay. So now I'm going to infill with my sandy colour. So the colour is quite solid and it covers up the colour of the trees behind it, which is exactly what you want it to do. Because then it will pop forward and look like it's closer to you. Take it right out off the top of my picture because it's much closer to me, and then I want it to look so much bigger. Now on mine you can still see the pencil marks, but hopefully on yours, because you will have done those pencil marks much paler, you won't be able to see them. Stroke with the brush, don't scrub with it. I'm going to start fat and go thin. Cool, like that. And then I'm going to have one right in the foreground here. That's the biggest tree of all because it's the closest to us. So make sure the trunk is the fattest. And it doesn't matter if it goes over the other ones. That's fine. It all gets a bit untidy there in terms of knowing which line is which, but once you put the paint on, you'll be able to see which line is which. And we're going to block it in with the pale colour, with the yellow colour first. I'm going to have my tree breaking into two trunks and then going off up into the sky. Getting smaller as it goes. And have some branches again, starting quite big and then tailing off, starting quite big. Now, so I now blocked it in the pale colour. What we need to do now is to put the shading in darker brown. It doesn't matter if the colours mix up and blend. In fact, the more it happens, the better that is. So here we go. I'm going to start with this one. My colour. Just following the right hand edge with the dark colour. And underneath the branches as well. Let's just smudge that to make it blend just a little bit more. And then on to the next one. And then our biggest tree of all. Make sure those strokes go up and down, not side to side. And I think on this one, because it's so much closer to us, I might put just a little bit of black as well, like we did on the other tree that we practiced with. Doesn't need much, tiniest of lines. Cool. Maybe one or two lines up through the trunk as well. Oh, we've got to get a little bit dirty, haven't we? Cool! So now we've got our trees, but at the moment it looks like winter, and we don't want it to be winter, we want it to be spring. So now we need to start putting our colours in. And I would actually go back to the kitchen roll and make sure it's scrunched up. Or if you haven't got kitchen roll, actually a little bit of cloth maybe that one of your parents could find that you can cut up into bits. So scrunching it up so it's not too smooth, because actually the more texture you get on there the better. And start, like the last one, start with a light colour first. So we're going to go back to our yellows, and I can use up the colours that I've got left over as well. So let's start squelching. So I'm just going to dip my piece of kitchen towel cloth into the colour. So I'm not mixing them together, I'm just dabbing in, because then you get all different colours. And then we start dabbing. And if your kitchen towel gets too flat, then get yourself a clean piece of kitchen towel and keep going. Okay, again, trick is to know when to stop. I'm going to stop there because I think I've got enough leaves. I might come back to it another time if I think it's not quite enough. Beautiful. Now, round the bottom of the trees, we need a much darker green because it's very shadowy. So, and it's grassy. So we're going to do lots and lots and lots of little tiny flicks. Actually, we're going to use the kitchen towel again. We're going to use the kitchen towel to make a shady part. Now, leave the bit under the trees here, leave that without green on it, because we're going to put some bluebells in there, in this section here. And so just leave that bit. It's really round the base of the trees we want a much darker green, much more intense colour green. So I'm going to get myself some more green. Paler in the background, and then darker as we come forward. Here's my darker colour starting to come out here, particularly around the bottoms of the trees. Goodness, oh, that is dark, isn't it? And that's also the shadow that the tree is casting. conceal that all right. Trying to cover up my pencil line there as well a little bit. Right, now that I'm going to just choose a slightly different colour green, and I'm going to put the grass in. So lots of little tiny flicks. At the base of the trees particularly. Go out to all angles. This grass doesn't grow straight, does it? And I'm actually going to also put a little bit, some little tiny brown as well, particularly on the right hand side where the shadow will be. And again, put some grass. A bit bigger now because the tree obviously is closer to us. Blend that in a little bit. Okay, now next thing we want is a pathway. So we're going to paint our pathway in. So we're going to go back to that sandy browny colour. Now we're going to start paler. Further away it is, the paler it is, a bit like our trees, remember they were paler. So pale sandy colour down to the brown down here. And again, a bit like our sky, we don't want it to be too even. All bobbly. Now I'm actually going to use a bit of kitchen roll just to squelch that off a little bit so it looks a bit textural. Now as we get closer, we can add a little bit of a darker colour. Using my kitchen towel to make it look a bit uneven. And I'm going to start mixing in some yellow, maybe lighter bits. And then using my kitchen towel to, there we go, our pathway. Now again, you can see my pencil line, but hopefully on yours you won't be able to see the pencil line. Good, now what we need to do is we need to do some bluebells. Now I'm a bit excited. Put some flowers in there. So I think again, kitchen towel's great for this. Now, we don't want, again, a bit like doing our trees in the background, we don't want that purple too intense, we don't want it too bright. So mix it with some water. And then I'm going to put in some purple bluebells. There's my purple bluebells. It ought to be called purple bells, didn't they, really? But they're not, they're called bluebells. Good, and we're nearly finished. So I think actually what I want is a little bit more. I'm going to put another little bit of bluebells here. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my kitchen towel again with some green and just put a bit of green in. Blend it around those edges. Okay, and then really I think what we need are some little bits of grass. Along the edge of that path. Just disguises that pencil line as well. Brown. Just smudging it with my finger slightly. Hope you can see that. Okay, and the final thing I need to do to finish my painting off is to sign it at the bottom and date it. So we are 2020. So don't worry if your painting doesn't look exactly the same as mine. In fact, I wouldn't expect it to. You've got different colours, different paper, different brushes, and you are different. So everybody's painting will be different, and that's fine. Just enjoy the process of getting paint on paper. Take a picture of it, let me have it again, like you did last time, and I shall look forward to seeing what you all make. Okay, take care. See you soon.